Emulate the taste of like non-chicken nuggets. So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
Oh, that's much better.
Edit all the blather out of your videos because my time is very precious.
Oh, that's fire.
Make it less teal and more
Cerulean? Sure.
Replace your background with something more fun? The cold void of outer space.
Let's boost that sound quality. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
It needs more style. It needs more clips, more gifs, more. Well, I might have made it too gnarly.
Howdy. Hi, Kevin.
Hello. Hey, Christiana.
How are you doing today?
Doing pretty well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to welcome you and everybody else to making how-to videos with Descript. This is our first event dedicated to making how-to videos. I'm excited.
That is true. Well, on behalf of myself and everyone, thank you for welcoming us.
Listen, it's my favorite part of my job, ushering people in, welcoming them.
Space maker.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just super stoked for today. Folks, let us know where you're tuning in from and also like where you're at in your Descript journey. Are you already using us for something else? Are you looking to make how-to videos and this is your first sort of entry into getting more high level with Descript? We want to know. But before we jump in, I've got housekeeping as usual. So let me pull this up. This is what we are going to cover today. So, of course, welcome, done. Turn off on great foot. We're going to show you how to leverage the Descript screen recorder for your how-to videos. Getting the full power of the Descript script, canvas, and timeline, and editing and all of those things. We'll talk about the nuts and bolts of scenes, which is really at the core of making videos with Descript. We'll cover adding stock media, stock images, stock audio to your project, video effects and transitions, so you can make it as customized as you would like. And then, of course, how to get your stuff out of Descript with exporting and publishing. Lots of you are watching on Crowdcast right now, so use the Ask a Question section for your questions, and then use the chat for reactions, chatting, commentary, etc. Our wonderful friend and support hero Marcelo is in the Ask a Question section, so ask away, and Marcelo will hook you up with all of your questions. We're also streaming to YouTube. Hello to everybody on YouTube. You can use the chat section, and Marcelo's in there too, and I can also see it, so we got you covered there too. Crowdcast folks, though, if we freeze, refresh your browser. That normally does the trick, but you can also jump over to YouTube. The link to the YouTube is in the chat, so jump over there. This session, along with all of our live events, is recorded. There's a live events playlist on our YouTube channel. You can catch all of the replays, but this will be up on YouTube right after this, and we'll also send it in a follow-up email, so you can easily refer back to it. If you want more Descript help, help.descript.com is an amazing resource, and then also join our Discord community. We just hit 14,000 members in Discord, which is very exciting. It's grown so much lately. We do really fun stuff in there. Marcelo hosts office hours every Wednesday. People are helping each other out. We do raffles on cool prizes. So definitely join us in there. And then last but not least, if you are new here, we want to hook you up with Descript Pro for free. Use code video101 or checkout, and you'll get a free month of Descript Pro. But for ease of use, you can scan that QR code and it'll pop you right to the checkout. Kevin, what am I missing? Any other housekeeping stuff I missed?
I'm just amazed by that glorious QR code, the way it sparkled around a second ago.
I know, it's a new restream feature. Oh, one thing I missed. Marcelo is actually going to do office hours right after this.
Mm.
30 minutes. So you can jump in there and ask Marcelo all the questions you have. Putting up either this side or this side of the screen is there's another QR code for our Discord community. So jump in there and ask away. Cool.
One thing I'll add, Christiana, is just a reminder of folks that this isn't our 101 session. This is a focus session specifically about making how-to videos. We're going to cover making how-to videos when you're demoing some kind of software or something on your computer with our screen recorder. We'll also do kind of a social style how-to, which will come up later on. But if you're looking for one of those 101 sessions, which is just like everything Descript, check out that YouTube playlist that Christiana mentioned and stick around here for how-to videos.
Sweet.
Love it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I guess without further ado, we can jump right in.
Great. So as we're going today, you might have some questions if you're newer to Descript, how we ended up in a certain place, or how we got things to look a certain way or into Descript. Feel free to ask those questions as we're going. But just to reiterate, our 101 sessions will certainly cover a lot of those early questions about importing, transcribing, and whatnot. We'll cover it today, but we're not going to spend as much time as we usually do. We're going to spend more of our time on the craft of making these how-tos. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. We'll get into the app. Here is Descript. And what I'm going to do when I'm ready to make something, anything at all, if you haven't yet, we're going to click this new project button in the top right-hand corner up here. And this first workflow that we're going to go through is recording our screen. I'm going to record my Descript window here, and I'm going to talk about changing our custom branding, our kind of profile drive image. Simple process, but we're going to talk about recording our screen, recording our camera, and our microphone all in one. That's a pretty typical recording for a how-to video. And then we're going to do some editing. We'll edit the script, edit the timeline, add some scenes, maybe drop in a little bit of B-roll here and there, re-record something maybe. But we're going to push through that. There's tons of stuff on our Help Center that also outlines all the little features that we're going to hit, but we're going to show it live here. It's important. And then we'll take a break and answer some questions about this specific workflow before we go on to the second one.
Awesome.
Okay, let's do it. New project. We're ready to go. Here I have my default setting in Descript is set to audio only. So that's why you're like, where is the video canvas? Where are the scenes? You can change that in File, switch to video composition, or you can always set up your app settings how you need them to be. First time user, early in your career in Descript here, definitely get your app settings set to what you need. But for now, we're just going to go to File, switch to video composition. We can switch that back and forth as we need. And we're going to start recording. Because of our screen limitations, some of our screen limitations here, we're not going to be able to see the whole process of recording Descript. But actually what we're going to do this on the fly real quick. I'm going to change that so we can see everything. So I think it's going to be pretty important. Does that sound good, Christiana? So we can see this whole screen?
Yeah, let's show the whole enchilada, you know?
The whole enchilada indeed. Okay,
let's
cool.
See it all.
Let's do it. I'm going to reshare my screen then.
Awesome. Also, just while we're transitioning here, some folks are saying the promo link isn't working. So just FYI, I'll get on that, folks. And in the follow-up email, there will be for sure a working link. Don't worry.
Cool.
Okay, back to you, Kevin.
All good. Here we are. We have blank project, blank composition. I'm going to label this, give it a nice name for this project. This is going to be drive image change in settings. We'll explain more. Cool. So we're going to start from a foundation of getting a recording, and this might be a scratch recording. It might be a keeper. We might just use it to create our script. But we want to just record as much as we can because we might capture exactly what we need in the end. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click one of these prompts to start recording, if I do that. Or I could also just click the recorder up here to start a screen recording. Both are good. We'll get some settings going. We're going to use this gear icon to make sure we have all the settings that we need for our recording. Big one that I'm going to make sure I use is 4K. So I have really nice, crisp resolution in my recording. And I'm going to be speaking in English. So I'm going to set that to English. Cool. Then we get into our individual track settings. We have our computer audio if we need that. I'm not going to use that for this recording, but you can if you're ever going to play audio from your computer. Just make sure you're wearing headphones. We have our camera input. This is my HD Pro webcam. I'm going to record my display, obviously. And then I have my mic here. You can see a little bit of input going. So we might make some changes if we need to. Make sure our studio sound is on if we're going to use that, which I am, because my air is going in a vent right next to me. And we're going to make sure we're transcribing our microphone.
Kevin, could you enlarge a little bit, like zoom in? Some folks are.
I'll also just make this bigger.
Yeah, that's better.
Great.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. Those settings set up, and then I'm also going to add my name as a speaker for my microphone input. Okay, I'm ready to record. I'm also recording Descript, so I'm going to turn hide Descript off for a second. Just a little setting that we'll use. Okay, so I'm going to start recording, and I'm going to drag a part of my screen. In this case, it's going to be about here. You can always crop this after, so it's not final, but you just want to make sure it's bigger rather than small. Okay, so let me get set up for my recording. That makes sense. Give myself a new window so we can see this. Boom, boom. Don't mind this stuff, just me doing some housekeeping. Okay, open my settings. And I'm going to change my image here. Okay, ready to start my screen recording. La 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 la, ready to go. Hello, and thanks for joining this session. Let me do that again. Hello, and thanks for joining us today. This video is about changing our profile image, which will affect our custom branding. Say that again. Which will affect our custom branding in our published pages. We're going to go to our app settings. Cut. We're going to go to our account settings and change our profile image. You can click the image, go to wherever your new image is going to be. And drop that in. We're going to cut this. And you're going to select your image. You're going to select your image and drop that in. When you're done, click update. That's all. Thanks for joining this video. Okay, when we're done, we'll press stop. And I'm going to go back to that project where we had this open and we're going to be recording in.
Bravo.
So a
Good job,
lot of
Kevin.
little mistakes and little fumbles, but that is the magic and beauty of Descript. It doesn't matter. It's going to make it easy to cut that stuff out. Okay. Obviously, recording is a whole thing. Christiana, I want to take a pause here and make sure we answer any questions specifically about recording or maybe why I was redoing stuff or using certain phrases or any questions that might exist now about recording.
Totally. Yes. Relevant question here. When recording the way that Kevin was just doing, is it possible to change the speaker frame to a circle? I noticed that quick recording allows circle, but can't figure out how to do it here.
Great question. We don't have, let me just confirm for myself. Sometimes. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, Looks like it is only a rectangle right now. But I remember seeing some conversation about this, so we'll check it out and see if there's an update. Because obviously we have a camera track right here that we can edit however we need to and crop and whatnot. But we don't have circle crop just yet, so it does limit us a little bit. We can do things as maybe a workaround right now. If you go into layout, you can round the corners.
Right.
So maybe if we crop this down into a circle, we can get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. So it's a little bit manual,
But possible.
that'd be the way to do it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Good questions though.
Awesome. So someone brought up, this is the desktop app, not the web app. How would it be different? Which is a great question because Kevin, isn't it right that the main limitation of our web app right now is that you can't record?
Exactly. Yeah. And our web app is in beta mode right now, used for experimentation and feedback. We definitely recommend just using it for that and not for any time sensitive or mission critical work just yet. It's just in an experimental phase, and we're just seeing how it works for people and getting feedback and performance stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you want to hit a couple more questions while we're here?
Sure.
Someone said, what if you are recording video and audio separately, or will that be covered in this session?
Great question. We are going to cover that in our next workflow.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, little sneak peek then. And then I'm just going to throw this in here. Recommended mics for clean sound on a MacBook Pro.
Oof. Good question. I mean, the MacBook Pro built-in microphone is pretty great combined with studio sound. But it requires you, obviously, if you're making a how-to video with you on camera, you want to be framed up really nicely, which could be tough. Christiana and I use the Shure MV7, which is like the USB version of the SM7B.
Right.
Pretty good. It's like over $200, so it's not the cheapest mic out there. But what?
Right.
Yeah, go. Sorry, Harry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, right now, while I'm traveling, I'm using the Blue Yeti. You can get a version of it for like $70, I think. So it's a little bit cheaper. Still pretty good. So you got options.
The best, there's so many microphones out there. The best mic is the one you got, though. You can, with a quiet room, studio sound, and a little bit of treatment with maybe some audio effects, you can get a really great sounding audio track with even just your phone. So,
totally.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Cool. Okay, and then one last question for you, Kevin, and then we can keep chugging along. And
Cool.
Lots of folks are recommending the mics that they use in the chat. So
Perfect.
Go check that out, everybody. But someone asked, can I later brighten the video recording?
Yes. We have, if you select your video recording, go to effects, you can adjust the color.
Cool.
Right here. And make all these color adjustments.
Awesome.
But try to get it right on the capture, because nothing really replaces nice real lighting, whether it's natural light or lamp or combination. So
Right. Totally. Okay. Cool. Lots of great questions. Keep them coming, folks. But I say let's keep keeping on.
all right, let's do it. Okay, so I got my recording here. I have my screen. I have my camera. My audio is attached to my camera recording. There's some housekeeping that we want to do to set us up for some success later on. Just a quick sip of water, you know.
That's allowed. We'll allow that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
So the first one we talked about was color adjustments. Making any kind of color adjustments will help you out a lot, especially with your camera, making sure it looks real nice how you want it. Good thing to do early on. Also, clicking this button in the timeline to show all layers will allow you to see any other layers you have active if they're there. So as we start adding stuff, note that if you have this selected, you're going to add it, you're not going to see it. All that there. So one thing that I like to do is do all my cropping early on. So I will do my layout, change that in my properties panel. I'll also maybe double click this or click the crop button to crop like we did earlier. Make that into a circle or whatever other shape I want. Click the check when I'm done. It's nice, so it persists. And then I'll also crop my screen recording. Maybe add a little bit of a buffer on the bottom, and then maybe I'll get a background going. So then I'll click around the canvas to focus the scene, which is the entire video at this point. We haven't added any scenes. And I'm going to add a background. And I might give it a different color if I want to, or maybe blend in with my desktop if the desktop was bleeding in the screen recording. But generally, I can resize, crop, and kind of get everything looking how I want before I do any editing. Just helps me visually, at least, get stuff looking pretty good. Cool. Alrighty. Now we can go through and do some editing. First thing I'm going to do is find where I'm starting. So the magic of Descript is we can edit the text, as I hope we all know. Edit the text to edit the underlying audio and video. So I'm going to find just reading the script. I don't even need to play anything. I can just read along. And I can see that, yep, here's my first take. Let me do that again. And then I say hello and thanks for joining us today. So everything before this, I'm just going to highlight with my mouse and delete because I don't need it. And now the video starts here. Hello, and thanks for joining us today. This video is about changing our profile image, which will affect our custom branding. Say that again, which will affect, great. So now I'm going to do a pass and make some editorial decisions. Times that I stumbled or said the wrong thing. And this process can be pretty easy for a short video like this. But if you're doing a longer how-to video, we definitely recommend finding a word that you say every time you redo something. So I typically use cut, C-U-T. Others will use redo, any kind of reoccurring word that you don't think you're going to use a lot in your actual recording. Because being a text-based editor, I can search for text and I can find the word cut. And I can just click this one here, cut. We're going to go to, and I can make that change really quick and just remove the whole phrase beforehand that I don't want just by selecting and pressing delete. And then I can click the next one. We're going to cut this.
Awesome.
Just like that.
Hey, Kev, could you go full screen while you're editing, just so folks can see it a little bit better? Perfect.
Yeah. Is that better?
Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
So I didn't do that for everyone. I just wanted to show how effective it is and compare it to doing it the old-fashioned way here, which we're going to go through and listen and make some edits. So there's three things that I'm going to do while we're going. I'm going to hold the Z key and click to toggle punctuation. I'm going to hold the X key. Sorry, I flip these around all the time. To toggle capitalization, I'm going to hold Z and click a word. I'm going to hold X to toggle punctuation. Click a word. And then I'll also hold C to correct a word. Those are the big things because I'm going to add captions eventually. So you'll see me do that a lot. If I'm toggling one of those, that's what I'm holding. Z, X, and C on my keyboard. Here we go. Hello, and thanks for joining us today. This video is about changing our profile image, which will affect our custom branding. Say that again. And I'm going to make some edits in my text. Image, which will affect our custom branding in our published pages. We're going to go to our account settings and change our profile image. You can click the image, go to wherever your new image is going to be. You're going to select your image and drop that. Great. So we got a big gap right here. Great example to introduce our timeline. We aren't going to need to do too much timeline work when we're making how-to videos. Simple ones. When we get more complex ones, we need finer tune edits. We might. But one of my favorite things about the timeline is I can just click and drag the word tab associated with my audio to remove silence. So if I want this silence removed, I can just go boop, 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 boom, drag it to the left, and now I have less silence. Wherever your new image is going to be, you're going to select your image and drop that in. When you're done, click update. That's all. Thanks for, and then there's a couple gaps right there. I might tighten those up as well in the timeline. And I'll do the same thing. Click and drag that tab a little bit. And then I'll click and drag that tab a little bit as well. And that's the end. Thanks for joining this video. Cool. And the last bit, what I'm going to do is use the script again to delete that little message I said to y'all or any other thing I'm doing. Cool. So just in a couple minutes, I edited this 30-second final video out of like a minute and a half, at least recording. And it sounds really good. All of the script is correct. And the reason I'm doing that is for captions. And I'm feeling pretty solid about this recording. The other thing I might do in the timeline here is use the range tool to also remove space. This can be helpful if you're removing space that isn't transcribed or you just want to have a little bit more control. You can click your timeline tools, choose range, and that's going to allow you to select a range, click and drag, and just delete it. Create a shorter gap between words or phrases.
I love those tools in the timeline.
They're pretty nifty.
They're nifty.
Yeah.
They're super nifty. You just showed how to get rid of a silence, but somebody asked, how can we add a silence or a space?
That is tough with a live recording like this. We're going to show how to do it when we do audio and video separately.
Cool.
But when your audio and video are synced, it can be a little challenging.
Totally.
So if you think you're going to need to add a lot of space, best thing to do is just leave it in your recording. Give yourself a ton of space because it's way easier to remove space than add space in video. But because I recorded all those inputs at once, I made a sequence, which is also a little bit more advanced feature for Descript, but really powerful. So if I right click anywhere, script or timeline, and go to edit sequence, I can see I have these two tracks. One is my camera and my mic, and the other one is my screen. So I could always do a little bit of work by using the range tool again to maybe add some space, or I could even detach the audio so then I have my camera, mic, and screen all on their own individual tracks. It really depends on what you're trying to do.
Totally.
Yeah.
Cool.
Something I use a lot in these sequences and the edits is just adding a freeze frame. That gives me some space. So I can right click in the timeline, add a freeze frame, and then I just get this frozen frame right there. So if I'm going to add a zoom in and add some space, I might just like delete my camera and create a scene, add a zoom in, that kind of stuff. But we're not there just yet.
Not yet. I didn't even know we did freeze frames.
Look at that.
Learning new things every day with you, Kevin.
That's why we're all here.
Yes.
I am too.
Cool.
Sweet. Continue on.
Yeah, we've got some questions, but I feel like we might hit some of them.
Okay.
So yeah, but there's one question on edits that I think could be good since you just covered editing.
Yeah.
Do you have tips for how to make the transition smooth when you remove a misspoken sentence or phrase?
Yes. Oh, do I? So one thing to decide is if you're doing it by, you want some kind of transition between two camera angles or a zoom in and a zoom out or those kinds of things, or if you just need to smooth an edit when you've removed a phrase, which is obviously the question, but those are two options in Descript. When I'm doing these kinds of edits first, I will pretty much, unless I'm fine with a jumpy cut, I will go into the timeline and click this white dot and add a crossfade. I can just click this and adjust my crossfade's length. And what that is going to do is at this edit point where I removed a word or phrase or something, at this edit point, it's going to fade to black this clip at the same time it fades from black to visible this clip. So they kind of crossfade and they blend into each other. Same with the audio track. So in our published pages, we're going to go to our, you can see it a little bit here. I'm actually going to do it this way. I'm going to click and drag this white tab across the edit point, and that'll give me a little bit more control. In our published pages, we're going to go to our account set. Ooh, we just found a bug. Cool.
We got to get a bug buzzer.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great. Like
That'd
a
be
sound
fun.
effect.
Uh-huh.
It could be a jingle. Could we make it together?
Yeah, we definitely could.
Okay, great.
That's our
Oh,
new
we'll do
priority one for
Our next
us.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the bug that we're seeing that will be reported and fixed very quickly is during this crossfade when I have the rounded corners, published pages. We're going to go to our account. You can see it jumps to rectangle. But if you just focus on my face for a sec, or if I remove the rounded corners, you're going to see it smooths out that in our published pages. We're going to go to and kind of blend my two clips together.
Totally.
So digressing from that little issue is clicking and dragging this white tab across the edit point will give us a nice crossfade that we just added before.
Awesome. Cool.
Alrighty. I'm going to make this smaller. Silly face. And thanks for joining us today. This video, cool. I added studio sound when we recorded, so I have that setting there. I can toggle that on and off or adjust the setting if I need to. The intensity, great. Really awesome feature. I use that in all my recordings. And then I'm pretty good to go. The next step, the last step I would say before I export or publish is I decide if I need to create any visual changes. So if I need to add any B-roll or if I need to create any zoom ins or zoom outs just in specific sections of a video. So we're gonna do that real quick here. We're gonna play it through one more time and we'll stop when we get there. So hello, sense and time. And thanks for joining us today. This video is about changing our profile image, which will affect our custom branding in our published pages. We're gonna go to our account settings and change our profile. Great, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a scene for the rest of the video from this point on by clicking the slash button or pressing slash on my keyboard. And what that gives me is a single scene. This first scene is this section here, which what I'm actually going to do is delete my screen recording because the intro is just me. My screen isn't really important. So I'm going to go in, kind of get this locked in, looking pretty good. And now I have this. Hello, and thanks for joining us today. This video is about changing our profile image, which will affect our custom branding in our published pages. We're going to go to our, great. And that abrupt transition from this first scene to the second scene, what I'm going to do is click the scene, add a transition out of it, and choose any of these that I might want. Cross blur, cross zoom, they're all great. So now it looks like this. In our published pages, we're going to go to our account settings and change our profile image. You can click the image, go to, great. So now what I'm going to do is create some scenes every time I want to zoom in. So I'm going to start a zoom in right here. So I'm going to press slash on my keyboard. I like to create new paragraphs sometimes. Profile image. You can click the image, go to wherever your new image is going to be. You're going to select your image and drop that in. Great. And then I want that zoom in to end right there, right before this line. So I'll add another scene boundary. And now I have these different sections of my video that I can edit the visuals independently from the rest of the video, just like I did for the first one. If you're new to scenes, check out our one-on-one session or any of our scene stuff on YouTube and our help center. It really digs deep, and they're awesome and powerful. So what I'll do to create a zoom in is I'll just click that scene, that section, click the thing I want to zoom in on, and just make it bigger. Let's see how that looks. And change our profile image. You can click the image, go to, cool, you can see there it got a little bit cut out. So I might actually just nudge this a little bit. Profile image. You can click the image, go to wherever your new image is going to be. You're going to select your image and drop that in. When you're done, click update. Cool. Same thing, we could add some nice transitions there to transition in and out. Another option would be adding a zoom in animation. But for me, I often just like to create a new scene and zoom in because the animation aspect is less important to me personally. I might be doing animations in another tool or something like that. But for me, I'm just going to create a scene, zoom in, add a transition, and it's simple enough, and I'm done.
Cool. And that's just like a personal preference, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You can check out, I think a couple sessions ago, we did a bit about animations and video effects, and that's on our YouTube. We dug pretty deep into that, but
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Someone asked in the chat, do you think you could use an image blend or morph transition like Premiere has for healing jump cuts? And you can, right?
That's kind of, yeah, that's kind of like everything we've been doing. A little bit more of a simple form. Combination of crossfades and scene transitions in or out.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Cool. Then we're done. We click publish, export as a video, or publish the page and download the MP4 from there. Right there. And that's how quick it is.
Love it.
And that's our V1. That's our simple how-to screen recording video and that kind of style. In a second, we're going to jump to something I've pre-recorded, and we'll dig deep into that, and that'll be like our last 15-ish minutes, and then we can take some final questions. But Christiana, any questions that we could answer right now, you think? What are you thinking?
Yeah, let me hit you with a couple here. Somebody asked, can you activate the crossfade the same way, click and drag, with a tracking pad instead of a mouse?
Yeah, just click and hold and then move your finger at the same time.
Cool.
I'll do it on my laptop right next to me right now just to show you. Yep, I'm just holding my thumb down and dragging my single finger on the trackpad.
Awesome. Cool. Next up here, is there a way to record a video podcast of a guest remotely?
No, not at the moment. We have some really great podcasting 101 sessions you should check out.
Yes.
Yeah, our friends at Squadcast and Riverside do that really well. So we like to use them for remote recording, and we have integrations built in where you can just take the files from there and bring it right into Descript.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, I think we hit the main ones. So I think we keep trucking, and then I'll keep collecting them, and I'll hit you with a few at the end if we have time.
Beautiful.
Cool.
All right, I'm going to go back to my projects in my drive. Open up the project that I have going. All right, this is a little bit millennial targeted, especially in the early 2020s. We've all been raising a sourdough starter. But laughs and judgment aside, today as I'm feeding my sourdough starter, I was like, I should just make a quick social style video of this and we'll use it today. So that's what I did. Here is the end product. We'll start at the beginning in a second, show how I did it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to feed your sourdough starter. First step, we need to make some room in the starter jar. The starter is going to expand after we feed it, so we need to make sure it has enough room to expand and grow. Next up, we're going to add 50 grams of flour. Whoops. Then we're going to add 50 grams of lukewarm water. And last step, we're going to give it a stir. Your batter should be a nice, cakey consistency. We're going to pop the lid on and use this rubber band to mark the height of the starter. This way we can see how much it's expanded. Follow for part 2 to see the result. Okay, there's my first cooking, baking video ever. Pretty simple.
Future in content
Yes.
cooking creation.
We'll see.
Wait, I have one question about that video.
Okay.
Did you take your trash out before
Yes.
so it would be a clean
100%.
experience for the viewer?
100%. I was, maybe 2 days into saying, I need to take that
Gotta
out.
take the trash out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pushing it down, making a little bit more room. So
That would have been like a
Certainly.
crazy gotcha. Like you,
Yeah.
you open the trash and it's like some sort of crazy, like a weird costume you threw out or something, or like.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Like
right,
a
just
nice
wondering.
plated dinner on a plate.
Like a perfect spaghetti with like it already forked up. Yeah. You're like, ooh, leftovers.
These are all ideas for our future content. Thank you, Christina.
Exactly. No problem. All right.
Okay, so a little bit about the workflow. What I did is I recorded on my phone, obviously, from my point of view, and I went through the whole process and just talked it through in a raw recording. And what that looks like is this. How to feed your sourdough starter. First step, we need to make some room in the starter jar. Cool. So I kind of just did what I thought I was going to say. And then I took all that whole script, brought it into a note on my computer and just did some editing to make it really nice. And then I copied and pasted that back in to Descript. Open this. Here it is. So all I do is copy this script and I made a new composition. I went into write mode, which is our script writing mode. And I just dropped that in like that. I also didn't need to do this. We do have a new feature coming out. It's going to be really cool for this whole workflow, which I'm not going to spoil yet, but next week it's coming out. It's going to be very cool. Record and replace, or in a couple weeks, record and replace. I could just record straight in and read this script as I'm recording, and then it would transcribe for me. Both the same process. It's exactly what I did, and then I just deleted the blue text after. But the big thing is that I took my raw recording and I transcribed it, transcribed it, and used that as the foundation of my script because I used all my natural stuff. And I obviously made that mistake where I spilled the flour, especially over the scale reader. So things like that you can still keep just by using your scripting from the original. So I have that here in its own composition in this drop down, and I use that as my full take, and I'm going to pull from that. So I'm going to record directly in real quick. And I'm recording audio only because I'm going to drop my B-roll from my phone over the top. So my speaker, transcribe, studio, great. And we'll record straight in. In this video, I'm going to show you how to feed your I'm going to show you how to feed your sourdough starter. First step, we need to make some room in the starter jar. Starter is going to expand after we feed it, so we need to make sure it has enough room to expand and grow. Next up, we're going to add 50 grams of flour. Whoops. Then we're going to add 50 grams of lukewarm water. And last step, we're going to give it a little stir. Your starter should be a nice cakey consistency. We're going to pop the lid on and use this rubber band to mark the height of the starter. This way we can see how much it's expanded. Like and subscribe for part 2. I really just always wanted to say that.
Beautiful stuff.
Okay, so now we have an audio-only recording. Applying studio sound. Any questions while this is applying from you?
Oh.
We'll do the folks join after.
What's the meaning of life? But yeah, there isn't. Yeah. What's bread, first of all? What's sourdough? Imagine if I like pretended. Anyway, did it apply, or should I hit you with a question?
We're good. Let's keep going.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I have this raw recording. In this video, I'm going to show you how to feed your cut. I just have trouble saying sourdough also. So I'm going to do the same process. I'm going to use my script to make some edits. I'm going to use Z, X, and C to toggle those 3 things: capitalization, punctuation, and correcting the transcript for my captions. Oh, here's a good one. In the timeline, I'm going to maybe hover over this endpoint and adjust here. The start point, I could also use the range tool to select and delete that empty silence in the beginning, whatever works for you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to feed your sourdough starter. First step, we need to make some room in the starter jar. Cool. So I'm going to do this. I'm kind of do everything at the same time. This is the ideal when you're producing audio and videos. You can combine different tasks and processes into one step. So you're not going through the recording 5, 6 times in a row. You might be able to cut that down to 2, 3, or 4. So what I'm going to do is, as I'm going to be toggling Z, X, and C and clicking the words as I need to. But I'm also going to be going to that other composition and pulling in my B-roll, which is that recording from my phone. And this is where I think Descript really shines, is because I brought in that original recording. I'm going to pin this to the side for a bit. The way I did that, if you don't know about pinning, is you can click this menu or your library, and you can pin it to the side by clicking this button. You can dock it right there and be able to toggle between different compositions, different edits you're working on. So I'm going to use this full take along with the range tool in the timeline to copy sections from my full take and match it up with my nice audio recording. And Descript makes this so easy is because I can match what I'm saying in the raw recording with my actual edit that I'm working on. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here's the beginning. I'm going to show you how to feed your sourdough starter. And I'm just going to keep it muted for now. By clicking that mute button, I can do whatever I need to do. But I'm going to use this range tool by pressing R on my keyboard. And I'm just going to select some clips. I'll use Command or Control C to copy, just like a doc of any kind. And I'm going to go to my edit. And I'm going to find that matching spot. And what I'm going to do is paste it over the top of my real audio recording. So I'm taking the video from my phone and pasting it over the top in the layer track right here, which you can adjust the height of. And I'm going to paste it in over the top right here. So I'm going to use Command or Control V to paste. And now what I have is a nice little clip right over the top. I'm going to mute it because I don't need to hear that original audio. And here's what I got. In this video, I'm going to show you how to feed your sourdough starter. First step, great. And I can edit these as I'm going. I can edit their length really easily. What I can also do is use scenes. So I'm going to use / on my keyboard or right click to add scene. And it gives me a new section to add to. So I have a new scene. I'm going to go back to my full take. I'm going to go to the first step. First step is we need to make some room in the starter jar. So I'm going to select that clip. Same thing, Command or Control C to copy. Go to my edit. Command or Control V to paste. And then I'm just going to use the select tool by pressing A or going to the list right here. And I'm just going to let that snap to the scene. Because I made that scene before, so it gives me a nice snap point where I have this stuff now. In this video, I'm going to show you how to feed your sourdough starter. First step, we need to make some room in this. Cool. You can hear that double audio. Again, I'm just going to do this every time. Click it, mute it, and keep going. First step, we need to make some room in the starter jar. Starter is going to expand after we feed it, so we need to make sure it has enough room to expand and grow. Beautiful. So now let me go and get that picture of my immaculate garbage can. I can go find it. I can either click through the script or click through the timeline and find that recording. Beautiful. There it is. Good enough. I'll use the range tool again, select a chunk of that, Command or Control C to copy it. And I'm just repeating this task over and over. / to make a new scene. Command or Control V to paste it in. So here's a new tool that we can add. We've done the whole process of using our original take, all that kind of stuff. I'm still going to mute this, but what I'm going to use in the timeline now is the slip tool, which allows us to keep this clip in place, but slip the footage to find the spot we want to start on. Very cool. So it starts right here, right now. Let me snap it to the scene. It starts right here. We feed it, so we need to make sure it has enough room to expand and grow. Next up, we're going to, okay, cool. I don't need to see my foot press the thing. I can slip it a little bit to the left by pressing Y or going to the slip tool. And I can just slip it a little bit here and find a better start point. There we go. And after we feed it, so we need to make sure it has enough room to expand and grow. And after we feed it, so we need to make sure it has enough. Do one more. Refeed it, so we need to make sure it has enough room to expand and grow. Next up, beautiful, done. And the same thing, I'll just go and edit the end of this clip so it snaps nicely to where I want to start again. And I'll make a new scene and continue on. I'm gonna do this a couple more times because something else is gonna come up. It's gonna be really helpful. But new scene. Next up, 50 grams of flour. I'm gonna find that spot where I make a big mistake. There it is. Cool. And I'll use the range tool again to select a series. Command or Control C to copy. And then Command or Control V to paste that in. Next up, we're going to add 50 grams of flour. Whoops. Then we're sweet. So I can see that whoops right there. I'll just go and find that. There it is. Nice. And here I can do a couple different things. We could use the range tool again just to like remove some of the stuff we don't want and kind of get that lined up. Oops. And that works. We could use the blade tool in the timeline. Cut some of that out to make an edit point and then drag it where we want it to go. That's really helpful for making some jump cuts. But there's a bunch of different options there as we're going. These edit tools make it really easy to find our spot in our B-roll and our footage and line it up with the word that we want to line it up with. Whoops. Next up, we're going to add 50 grams of flour. Whoops. Then we're going to add 50. Good enough. Cool.
Nice.
I'm going to pause right here. There's Christiana. There's a couple things I want to check out. One is adding captions and customizing captions.
Yes.
So but I also want to leave some time for some questions.
Honestly, we have hit most of the questions, and the one that I was going to pull up is the highlighted text subtitles a built-in feature? If so, awesome. So I think captions are perfect.
Great. Let's do it. So captions are amazing. They're going to follow our script. So that's why we make corrections as we're going, which I forgot to do. But we didn't really see many corrections needed until we got down here to get Keiki. So again, I'm just going to hold C and click and Keiki just to hit that one more time. What we're going to do is decide how long we want captions to last, where we want them to go, basically. So for this one, I want them to last the entire video. I want to make sure I have captions all the way through the video. So what I'm going to do is use Command or Control A to select the whole script, because if we have the whole script selected and we add captions, it will add them from beginning to end. So Command or Control A gives us a select all. You can see that, select the whole script. We'll go up to the text and drop in captions. So by default, they're going to use my last used settings, but I can customize them however I need here. I can do all caps. I can change the font or import my own font. If I have branded colors, I might do that. Let me get this looking a little bit. Yeah. If I have branded colors, I can get my hex or RGB code going or change the color there. I can also click custom and just completely customize the font here. One of my favorite tricks with captions is using a future word and making the fill color of it completely opaque, opacity at 0. So not completely opaque, completely invisible. So opacity at 0. And what that allows me to do is get that kind of like typewriter feel where it's one word at a time. I'm going to show you how to feed your sourdough starter. First step, it's pretty cool, but just click your captions and you can change all the settings that you need, wherever it might go. Move them around in the canvas if you want them to get out of the way for like TikTok style stuff or any UI from a different tool. Drop in a shadow, that's fun, but that's it. And any changes, if you click it in the canvas, you make some changes, it's only going to make it to that active scene. So either select the whole clip in the timeline, then make changes, or after you make changes, just click apply to all scenes and it'll apply those changes to all your scenes. And you can also do that in hindsight if you need to by clicking these 3 dots and apply the properties to a multi-scene layer. It'll apply it to all the scenes that that layer shows up in.
Awesome. Cool.
That's captions.
That's captions. That's showbiz.
That's showbiz these days.
Awesome. Honestly, we hit a lot of the questions, and Marcelo has been an absolute beast in the ask a question section, per usual. That's right. So if we didn't hit your question live, folks, go check out the ask a question section. It's also just really helpful to like see what other people asked and see how Marcelo answered them. So definitely go check that out. But Kevin, I can't wait to see this video on TikTok. I'll be waiting.
Like and subscribe.
My FYP. Yeah, like and subscribe. But this was great. Kevin, if people were like, okay, I'm ready, where should they go to continue their learning? What would you recommend?
Depends how you learn. If you like this style and you like long form stuff going through a whole workflow, YouTube is going to be your place.
Yep.
Joining our Discord. There's also tons of really, really talented and hardworking folks, producers, editors there. They're making some cool stuff. Collaborate with them, join the community, learn, teach. And if you just have some random questions and you're just like, how do I do this one thing that Kevin showed me the other day? Or you're just wondering how and if you can do something in Descript, click the question mark in the bottom right-hand corner and go to Help Center. So much here. It is just a wealth of information. search for anything that you're looking for. There's a lot of really great, powerful stuff going on in Descript.
Totally. I'll emphasize Discord. Definitely join us there right now. Marcelo is going to do office hours for 30 minutes. So scan that QR code and you'll join, or just type in your browser discord.gg/Descript and you will join our server. Also, we did get this QR code fixed. So scan that for a free month of Descript Pro. Note that this is only for new users or people that are on the free plan right now. So if you're already a Pro subscriber, this does not apply. So that might be the reason why some folks were hitting issues. So that is that mystery was solved there. But in Discord, we give out prizes all the time. We do this thing called Wednesday Wins in Discord in the Made with Descript channel, where people post their inspiration, things that they've made with Descript recently, and we're always giving out cool creator prizes. So definitely join us there. Yeah, this was such a blast. Join us for a future event. This replay will be going out after. Check out our live events on YouTube. And Kevin, thank you so much for an amazing session, as per usual.
Thank you for being such a great host. As
It was
always.
a blast. I enjoyed it. And I can't wait to see everyone's how-to videos that they make after this.
Yeah, send them to us on Discord.
Yes, send them or tag us on Twitter. We would love to see them. Cool. Okay, everyone have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.